Never accept the world as it appears to be. Always dare to see it for what it could be. These are the words Jeff Kaplan left us with at his departure from the Overwatch team in 2021. This was brutal news, man. Papa Jeff himself had enough of Activision's meddling, and he got out while the getting was good. But Jeff's words left us with a little bit of hope that things would be alright. Fast forward to 2023 and that hope is dead. Overwatch 2 is now a microtransaction-addled live service with its PvE campaign release cancelled and watered down for battle passes. In the proverbial tug of war between old Blizzard, the brains behind StarCraft, Warcraft 3 and Diablo, and the new Activision Blizzard, year after year Call of Duty releases and mobile game experts, it's not surprising that the parent company won out, and with games like Diablo Immortal making $2 million a day, how the fuck can you even be surprised? Whether or not you think this free-to-play live service model is right, it definitely works. But why did it take Overwatch so long to reach this state? How have the devs flip-flopped directions several times and burned all of us in the process? Surely it wasn't necessary to piss off everyone in the gaming community by cancelling the PvE campaign you advertised in 2019? Why? Well, this week, the game director of Overwatch 2 admitted that Overwatch 1 was the first part in a three-step process. Overwatch 1, PvE Overwatch 2, MMO Overwatch 3? What? They wanted to revive Project Titan, which was a dead project Overwatch was born out of. Aaron admits here that it was a mistake to not focus on their already successful live game. Yeah, no fucking shit, bro. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Despite what a lot of people have said in the past, Blizzard isn't dead. Even though they've lost so many of their old developers, they're still alive and kicking. Not in how they polish their games, not their ongoing care and support for their titles, not the raw excitement of what will they do next. No, the ongoing legacy of old Blizzard is their pride. Their Blizzard knows best attitude that brought us things like you don't want WoW Classic and it being a runaway hit on release.
You don't want to do that.
I am pleased to announce the development of a Classic server option for World of Warcraft.
You can see the friction of the mentality of their way or the highway when a lot of OG devs were bailing out of the company, the CEO included. When he quit, he said he felt like he was working against his environment and that the focus shifted from how do we make our product the best and keep innovating to how do we keep the revenue coming in. Another unnamed Blizzard vet said finance used to be an invisible thing that didn't have a say, but now they had a seat in meetings. Clearly that was the right move as they ended up making $2 million a fucking day with one game. And finally, Jeff Kaplan leaving after 19 years of service to Blizzard in the middle of Overwatch 2's development with this short, weird, cryptic message. Just look at this shit, it's all lowercase. I can't tell you precisely why he left, but it's pretty clear that the Blizzard old guard had a different idea of how to make games and run a game company than Activision did. It's not exactly a sin to not like when your entire company is being more commercialized, though their tone deafness on things like WoW Classic were pretty bad. What else was going on? How did the devs want to run the company? How did Jeff want to run the Overwatch team? Well, here we fucking go. He and the OG Overwatch devs wanted to make the biggest action RPG of all time by several orders of magnitude. The sheer concept of creating a Borderlands or Destiny 2 style game with over 30 replayable characters and late game content is astronomically insane. To put it in perspective, developing a Borderlands game takes several years and focuses on just 4 characters. To try and pull that off with nearly 10 times that to the degree of polish that Blizzard likes is frankly crazy. But it doesn't stop there either. The game would be crossplay, have to have every update approved by every console, and release and maintain content for the PvP game. How many games have even pulled off a technological feat like that in history? Does anyone know? My guess is fucking 0. And for that insane dream, the golden goose that Blizzard stumbled upon, Overwatch 1, the game we wanted them to keep going, was put on life support. Overwatch 1 farmed awards and Game of the Year titles. Even Overwatch 2's release pulled insane viewership and players. People love this game so much, man. But you guys don't want that, no. Blizzard knows best. Let's be frank, they have a very rocky understanding of the game as is. Their history of trying to balance the game resulted in them throwing their hands up in the air and introducing role lock and later 5v5. So for them to believe in full confidence that they could replicate a somewhat accidental success with a massive increase in scope twice is nuts. They really thought they were making the next fucking iPhone. More like the next BlackBerry, bro. More like the next BlackBerry, bro. Really thought that was fucking funny, didn't you? And in the current day, the fallout of this greedy fantasy is crashing down around them. Aaron Keller was game director months ago when they made the decision to axe the PvE content release with the talent trees, but they're only telling this to us now. And he was one of the founding members of the Overwatch team. He was in on that grift of the Overwatch 3 MMO from the start. Now, it is good that Aaron took accountability in his blog post, but it doesn't erase the damage that's been done. Didn't tell a soul around launch because it would have tanked their stocks. They have a seriously bad habit of spreading out bad news and announcement to soften the blow of their fuck-ups, or they try and push something positive to cover up bad press, like the entire announcement of Overwatch 2 in 2019. Anyone remember Hong Kong? Or the announcement of BlizzCon the day after the PvE cancellation announcement. And guys, I saw your triple XP weekend that you slipped into Overwatch right afterwards too. I saw that. I see everything. Now I'm going to stop here and say the picture I'm painting is not a call to attack the devs. If I find you doing that shit, I'm gonna... But I am saying it's worth a closer look at the accountability of both Activision and Blizzard. There's been a pervasive discussion around botch releases or games that are failing, or Overwatch 2, where people are saying it's not the devs' fault, it's always the suits up top or the publishers. But the Blizzard devs aren't just puppets of Activision Blizzard. In some ways they have been. They were likely forced to push Overwatch 2 PvP out. In fact, that was probably a discussion that drove Jeff from the company. And when it came out, even the ability to make numbers, tweaks, and hotfixes was broken. They didn't want the game out in that state, and it's entirely possible that Activision leadership have just been assholes to the devs this whole time. But it's pretty safe to say that Activision likely wasn't happy with the Overwatch team not bringing any money in as they sunk more time and resources into their dream project. So we got the PvP release of Overwatch 2. Imagine how that would have hit if everyone was working towards that goal of the PvP release this whole time. 10 new heroes, more game modes, all the reworks wrapped up and ready to go. Something other than dog shit souvenirs in the battle pass. Name one person who uses these and has friends. The reality is that the devs had an implicit hand in the journey that led us here. Their original plan, the Blizzard plan, was to sink years of resources into a Hail Mary game concept with unfathomably high requirements, while sticking their fingers in their ears about how the industry was changing around them. Fortnite was the biggest game at the time of the Overwatch 2 announcement, and that was free to play. So don't blindly defend the devs just because they're devs, but don't attack them either. You can criticize what they do, not the people they are. They've been dealt many shitty hands by Activision. Aaron inherited this mess in the first place. In fact, I will defend them for a bit. Jared is a saint. He just told it how it is. He and Aaron looked at this shit show and said Overwatch 2 never should have happened, and finally decided to go with a model that will likely make Activision happy, which could lead to them not having their resources strangled, more and better updates, and so on. And that's how it should have been in the first place since 2019. Activision and Blizzard didn't find a way to align their goals, and now we're getting burned because our divorced parents couldn't find a way to speak with one voice. In fact, the voice Blizzard has used to communicate has been tone deaf almost all of the time. For Aaron to try and gloss things over after this announcement to say they're doing more than they ever did in Overwatch 1 is insulting. Any number is greater than 0, and it's a whole lot less than you promised. The way they dropped the bombshell of Overwatch 2 going 5v5 did not go down well. In fact, I called the final outcome of the game at that exact moment. Now the barbarians are at the gate, you come to me for help. For Blizzard to constantly brag about the growing size of their team, the exciting content they have planned, the wait till you see what we have coming tweets after the Halloween event, only to squash that excitement after years of anticipation is just sour. Guys, if you don't want everyone to hate you for cancelling a game you hyped up so much, stop hyping it up so much. Stop giving us reminders every step of the way that the big one is coming, because the big one isn't coming. It's 12 little ones, cut in half. The empty hype that Blizzard nurtured gave myself and a lot of players the confidence to sink time and money into Overwatch 2. They set the expectation that we were going to get content that was advertised 3.5 years prior. Now, I know people technically weren't buying PvE with Watchpoint packs or battle passes, but I've seen a lot of people somehow blaming the consumer for treating this game as a service. People were buying things for and sinking time into a service that had advertised features on the way, and those were rug pulls after Blizzard collected their bag for the first 4 battle passes. Overwatch 2's a fucking NFT. But devs to have built up hype personally on Twitter accounts, dev live streams, chats with creators, knowing that people were buying into a lie is insulting. It's a con, when it turns out the current state of Overwatch 2 is what we get, and the same devs who messed up the ranked system, erased all our progress, pre-season 31, left Sojourn broken for 3 seasons and so on, also had plans to build a game with unprecedented scope that had never been seen before, and refused to give us any indication that it wasn't on the way until now? How can you not criticize their decisions and communication? COVID, mass layoffs, budget constraints, Jeff leaving, the lawsuit. Don't you think any of this was grounds to give us some update on how the PvE was going? We still haven't seen anything, bro. Did the devs not have an internal roadmap or expectations set by Activision? Are you this bad at communicating with each other as you are with us? How are you even having to change your plans this late to please upper management at Activision? Why weren't they more integrated in your plans and the development of the game in the first place? Were you keeping Activision at an arm's length because you didn't want them to be too greedy? Your plan was to drop an MMO on us. I don't want to pay a fucking subscription fee. I prefer the battle pass. That's greedy too. You guys should be getting along. Blizzard and Activision Blizzard are as bad as each other, and they deserve each other, and they have yet to work together cohesively. The Blizzard devs aren't just puppets of Activision because they stuck to the Blizzard vision of the game. If they truly were Activision's puppets, Overwatch 2 would have released 2 years ago with the same roadmap we have now, because it would provide a much greater return for much less investment, which is exactly what Activision is all about. Now, as much as it pains me to say it, there is potential for them to do some good work together, but we need to see it. They need to show and not tell, because we can't trust a thing they tell us, because they were willing to make false promises and break them on the basis of ignoring the success of Overwatch 1 and the community that loved it, because they refused to see the world as it was, and they dared to see it for what it could be. Wow, what a wild ride it has been. If you saw my response video to the original PvE cancellation, thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I never dreamed I could have a video do so fucking well. If you haven't watched it, go do that, because I popped off. And if you made it this far, please drop a like and a subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna fucking go play Overwatch.